Hey guys, I'm back. I'm Blessed Data here, and yeah, all the shows I usually review, they're taking a little break, mid-season breaks. Who likes those? But anyway, Arrow has come back, and soon enough, The Walking Dead will too. So stay tuned for that. I got Walking Dead reviews on the way, action figure reviews, everything. But let's get down to what you clicked on. This is Arrow Season 1, Episode 10, Burned. And, well, it's finally back. Arrow's back after a little break, like I just mentioned earlier. And, yeah, I love the show, so I want to see where it picks up from here, how it's going to go here, what villains they're going to take, put in here. I can't wait. I'm so excited, and the first episode back didn't disappoint. Really cool villain in this episode. Don't see a lot of him, and, when I get to the part near the end, something happens to him, but very cool villain. And so let's just jump into the episode, see what I thought. I'll just give you a rundown of what happened if you missed it. And yeah, so right off the bat, we start off with a house. It's maybe not even a house, it's like basically a warehouse, basically on fire. And there's firefighters on the scene, those good guy firefighters. And they're attacking the fire, keeping it down. Then this one firefighter comes up, and he's not saying anything or anything. And he burns the other firefighter. He sprays this liquid on him, and he catches on fire and dies. So we got a death on our hands right here, right off the back. So, we can tell this is going to be an exciting episode right from the start. Then we go to Oliver, good old Oliver. Nice to see his face again. And he's training, and it's kind of like a training montage of him training and thinking about what happened last episode, which, the mysterious Archer, the other Archer kind of took him down and almost killed him. And I think that's really affecting him, and we see that it's affecting him throughout this episode. But he's training, and he's kind of thinking of that. It's kind of motivating him to train. That's cool. Then, again, what he did in the other episode before, how he throws the tennis ball and then he tries to shoot it. He misses. He misses the tennis ball, so we can see something's off here. Something's bothering him. We also get to know that it's been 6 weeks since the last episode. So Walter, which is Oliver's stepdad, has been missing for 6 weeks now, which is actually a good chunk of time. So, people might think he's dead, and that's kind of what happens. Oliver is talking to his bodyguard, and he's kind of saying, they're kind of talking to each other, saying, well, I think Walter's dead, he's not showing up, what else could it be? So basically they think he's dead, which we know he's not. He was kidnapped by the Oliver's mother's group, their evil superpower there. Then we go back to a flashback. Good old flashbacks. Nice to see him again. I haven't seen a flashback since Arrow. Love the flashbacks in this thing. But it's kind of just a recap of what happened again. It's basically at the point where Deathstroke and his men and that leader guy come up, kind of ambush him, and Deathstroke takes the mysterious man that's helping Oliver on the island. They capture him, and Oliver kind of runs away. So that's basically that. It's kind of like a recap if you forgot, I guess. We go back to the present, and basically Oliver wants to be there for his family now. He wants to take a step back from Arrow, kind of put his family first, and there's a reason for this, and it's really because he's scared. He's scared that he's gonna fail now that he knows he can fail. He's just, his self-confidence is just dropped since he almost died. The other Archer almost killed him. That's kind of pulling him back a little bit. So he's scared. I think I would be too if I were him, because, superheroes, I think, they think at some point in their superhero career that they're invincible. Nothing can touch them. And then something just brings them down hard. And I mean, reality hits them in the face that they can die. And I think that's kind of what hit Oliver at that point. But then we see that Oliver's sister kind of speculates that Walter is basically just having a midlife crisis. Maybe he just ran away. He's just living another life and he doesn't have the guts to call us back. So we can see that they're kind of trying to figure out what's happening to Walter, but no one really knows. The mother, I don't even think, knows that Walter's been kidnapped. She knows he's gone, but she doesn't realize that, he's been kidnapped by her own people. So then we find out that Laurel's best friend's brother was killed, and he was actually the fireman in the beginning, the firefighter in the beginning that was killed by another firefighter that sprayed liquid on him, boom, on fire. So yeah, it was actually Laurel's friend's brother, and Laurel's friend actually works at the where she works also. So after that, Laurel kind of wants help, and she knows that the police aren't gonna help her with this. It looks like an accident. Who's gonna believe her that someone set up and tried to kill her friend's brother? And her friend kind of speculates too that, you know what, this was a murder. And she was right. You know, she has some clues that she kind of figured out that, yeah, it actually was a murder. So, what would Laurel do? What would you do in this situation? You know, for a minute I thought Laurel was gonna put on a suit herself and go out, but she steals her father's phone, and this is the one that Arrow gave him. So now she can contact Arrow and ask for help. So she does, and Arrow shows up. And basically all he really says, Arrow, Oliver, whatever, he basically just says that he's on it, I'll look into it, doesn't promise anything. And when he talks it over with his bodyguard, the bodyguard says, you know what, why don't you go after it? The crime's not going to stop itself. You know, we can take a break from the hit book for a while. And you haven't been haven't acted as Arrow in 6 months, 6 weeks. Since last episode, Oliver hasn't gone out as Arrow. So this is kind of like a pause, a break, in between the last 2 episodes. So, Oliver still does not want to go out as Arrow, though. He still feels, he doesn't feel confident at all, and he doesn't want to risk it, so he doesn't want to go. But then we go back to another flashback, and basically Oliver is hiding after he runs away from Deathstroke and his crew, basically. He's hiding, and one of the, soldier guys walks by, and he's looking for him, and he's just hiding behind a tree, and he has, a nice little weapon ready to go, but he doesn't do anything. Go back. Honestly, I wouldn't think that he would attack that soldier because he has no training. He doesn't know what to do. But again, it's his life or death. You know, I would act too, even if it wasn't going to work. So, that's where that goes. But then we go back to the present, and we see another building on fire. And of course, the firefighters are going in, taking care of it. And we see the killer again. This guy's in a fire suit, and he's going to kill again. And he does kill again. But Arrow does show up, so he finally breaks out of his shell, Oliver, and says, you know what, I'm going to go help. And he goes, and you know what, he's still hesitant. The fireman killer kind of just takes him down right away, and he doesn't retaliate or nothing. He's just, you know what, I'm beat, and he just lays there. But Oliver notices while he's on the floor that this firefighter has a tattoo of a firefly on his hand. So, that's a nice little clue for him. But again, when he was fighting this guy, he's hesitating. He didn't even act. So you can tell that he's still really scared. Then we go to another flashback, and Oliver jumps for the armed man, the soldier guy. And, yeah, it doesn't go too well because he is untrained. But they basically, fall down like a mountain. Not really a mountain, but they just roll. And, yeah, that's the end of that flashback. So really short flashbacks in between these episodes. But I did realize that there was a lot of commercials for this show. I mean, a lot more commercials than the last episode. I know that was a little while ago, but still, there wasn't that many commercials, and this one just seemed like there was tons. Not sure why, but oh well. So anyway, the other archer took something from Oliver. You can tell he took his motivation, he took it away from him, and you know what? He finally breaks it, and he finally says, you know what? That's it. I'm not going to let this hold me back. I'm going forward with my life. I don't care what's going to happen. Basically that. He basically gets over his fears. So he does some investigating. Well, Laurel really does the investigating. And she finds out that there's a group called the Fireflies that were firefighters. And it was kind of basically their division. And yeah, and they all got the tattoo on their hand. So this guy was a part of this division of firefighters. So that's a big clue for them. Somewhere to go off of. But Laurel's kind of hit a dead end, and she doesn't know what to do. So what would she do? What would anyone do? Call Arrow, 1-800-ARROW. Go ahead and call right now. But, yeah, she calls him, and basically says, you know, what am I supposed to do now? And Arrow says, my turn. And so then, again, we see that Oliver is basically afraid that if he dies, everyone that loves him will have to lose him again. Basically, they're going to have to go through, the whole island thing, you know? They thought he was dead. that's what he's afraid of, and that's what the other archer, brought up in him. He realized this, that he doesn't want to die. Now, find out that one of the members of the Firefly crew is killing all the other members. And basically the story is that the other members of the Firefly guys let one of them die, basically. They basically left them in the building. It was a big misunderstanding, but basically it was a little fault on both sides, but he basically died because of the ignorance of some people in his group, and he was burned alive in a fire, like a call that they went to. This was many years ago. This actually happened when Oliver was on the island, so he didn't know. But anyway, so he's basically trying to get revenge now, and Oliver's throwing like a what's it called, charity event for the firefighters that were killed recently in his nightclub. And you know, his nightclub, his little secret lair is right below it, so you know, someone might find it, but no one does, so that's cool. But the chief of the firefighters is there too at the charity event, and he's one of the members of the Firefly group. So again, the killer firefighter strikes again, and he burns everything in Oliver's nightclub. And when the fundraiser was going on, and he's basically going after the chief. And a really cool part, this is probably my favorite part of this episode. Basically the killer firefighter he confronts the fire chief, and he sprays the liquid on him, and he has a lighter, and he's about to throw the lighter on him. And right when he's about to throw it, he throws it right in there. It's twirling down, and Oliver shoots an arrow, and it hits the lighter. So he's got his confidence back. He's Arrow, man. So he's back and everything. It was just a really cool moment. And let me just talk about the actual firefighter killer guy, because he actually takes off his fire helmet mask, and he's actually, half his face is basically burnt. Really reminded me of Two-Face, but other than that, it was really cool. It looked really cool. The effects were nice. Yeah, overall, it was just a really cool villain. Something new, something different. That's awesome. And so, yeah, shoots the lighter out of the air, and he basically confronts the firefighter killer, and he says, you know what, just stop. It's over now. Don't worry. We can get you back to a normal life. And he basically says, thanks, but no thanks, I'm already burned. And he basically just walks into the fire and kills himself. And that was it. So, kind of a disappointing ending. Kind of seemed like it was rushed a little bit, but it was cool. And I love when they say the title in the show. It's just like this, yeah, feeling, if you know what I mean. But anyway, I don't know. It did seem a little rushed, but it was still a cool ending. I thought it all worked out together in the end. And then we go to the mother, and Oliver's mother, after all this is done, and she basically takes Walter's place in the company now that he's been missing for so long. So she kind of just steps up and takes his place, basically. And on the news, we basically see that Arrow is kind of looked up upon as a hero now. He's not a he's not a vigilante anymore. He's looked at as a hero almost. So that's cool. It's getting more and more like the comics, so I like that. And just to see him, that everyone cheering him on and stuff, and he doesn't always have to hide in the shadows, that'd be a cool little thing that they could do with this series. So that's nice. And basically, Laurel's dad lets her keep Arrow's phone. You know what, if you need him, call him, go ahead. That kind of seemed a little suspicious, and right off the bat, right after that, he says basically that he bugged the phone, and he's just trying to locate Arrow. So that's kind of low, you know what I mean? He's using his own daughter to try to find her, but whatever. And one more flashback. Oliver, after Oliver and the prison guard guy, they fall down the cliff, he basically switched clothes with them. He died on impact. Oliver switches clothes with him, and he finds a map and a vest in his pockets. So that's cool. He finds the map in his vest, sorry. So that's cool. Now he knows where he's going, kind of, if he can figure out where he is. But now we see kind of a map of the island. It's a huge island. And yeah, that's basically the whole episode. So Arrow's back. Can't wait for more. Overall, I thought this was a pretty good episode. Not the greatest, but still pretty good. And I just can't wait to see what else the show has to offer, what other villains we're going to see. I think it's just going to be great. So thanks, guys, for watching. Stay tuned for more news, reviews, and all that good stuff. So thanks, guys. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter at unblesseddata. You can see my updates and stuff, what I'm thinking on daily, minute basis, I guess. So, thanks, guys, and I'll talk to you later. See ya.